So the biblical question last week, and then I'll tell you what the new one is for this week. Which is the right way to deal with people, all people, with compassion or dispassion? And the one thing I am sure of, there's some things I'm not sure of, but some things I'm very sure of. And that is you should, but you can't make yourself do this, folks, all right? You have to be born again, and then your mind will be renewed, all right? But you have to deal with all people at all times with dispassion, not with compassion. But compassion is an emotional word, meaning that you got to feel something for the situation, for the person. And for some reason, people, well, I know why. It's a fallen state. People think that when they feel something for that person or that situation, whether it's a child or whatever, right, that they're showing real love and that somehow or another they are helping. But compassion causes you to help the wrong people at the wrong time and for the wrong reason. It's easy for people to play on your emotions because you're in a fallen state. You're in darkness and you're driven by what you think is right or wrong and how you feel about it. And so there will be times when you should be helping a person in the right way, but because you may get angry or you may not like the person or you may have heard something negative about the person, you won't help. And it'll be the wrong time because it's all based on how you feel. Compassion is it's an emotion. And especially men should not be operating from emotions. Any man that operates out of emotion is a woman. And it's a man's responsibility given to him by God that he should be logical. Because logic is only from God. No human being can give you logic, right? And it's based on what is right, with the right motivation and everything. You can see what to do because you're guided by logic is the light of God within you. And then men guided by that will help women overcome the compassion, passionate and all that crap. You will help them overcome it. When they're little girls, you'll be that example for your daughters and sons. And when you become of age, if you should marry, you will help your wife overcome that. You're not supposed to go along with that because that is very destructive. A lot of people don't realize how emotions are very destructive. Look at what's happening in the government, for example, as the women are taking over the government. You now have homeless people living on the street because the women feel sorry for them. Oh, knowing that most of these people have been brought here illegally, it's a setup. It's a setup by the government in order to control you and get more votes and to get these people in for votes. It's not like they care about the people, but because a lot of women are taking over the government, they're like, oh, we got to provide for the homeless. Instead of hauling these people, loading them up and sending them back across the border, wherever borders they came from. It doesn't, not necessarily Mexico, they're coming from everywhere now. And they're living on our streets. And that would not happen if real men were running the government. It didn't happen when I was growing up. When men were running the government, you didn't see all this going on. But because men are now totally in compassion and they're afraid of women, they're afraid to agree or disagree, or they're afraid to not agree. Because they don't want to be called names. They don't want to be called, what do you call that man? What they call men? Misogynist and woman hater and all that crap. So you should always treat people with dispassion, meaning you will be allowed to see the situation and you'll be able to help. Or you'll say no to that. Because some people need to feel the pain so they can grow. Some people are so deep into darkness, it would take pain to make them wake up. Some are right on the verge of seeking what's right, and they can wake up just like that. They'll hear a little truth, and they'll, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And some people wake up just by realizing there's something wrong with me. I got to see what's wrong with me, and they'll wake up that way. But some people need the pain. And a compassionate person gets in the way of that, whether it's parents with their children or with the stranger on the streets. I watch, there are people, homeless people at the post office that sit in front of the post office, and they are deliberately just collecting money from the people. They know how to put them on the spot, and the people feel a false sense of compassion, or too embarrassed to walk away, or they want you to see that they're giving it to the homeless, or they'll give money to the homeless, and they'll look around to make sure somebody sees it, so they can feel good about it. All ego. I'm just saying, the right way to deal with all people is with dispassion, with logic. And there is no passion in logic. And it only comes from God. It's not something you can make yourself have. You must be born again, and then he will renew your mind from the world way of doing things, the dark way, to the right way. And it's amazing. I didn't know this, folks. I have to tell you that over the last 30 years, when God first woke me up, I am being renewed. It's like I'm growing like a little kid, grow in the physical. You don't see them growing, but you just realize, wow, my kids are big. What happened to your kids? The last time I saw you, you were so little. Now you're so big. You don't see them growing. You just realize one day they have grown. Well, the real you is the same way, but it's in the spirit. The real you is a spirit. That's why once you're born again, you come back to the spirit of things. Not what you see with your physical eyes, but with your spiritual eyes. You walk by the spirit. It's so amazing. And men have a responsibility as sons of God to overcome the mama by forgiving her and return to the father, so you can live as logical men, not as little girls, not as mentally retarded men. I'm telling you, and there are a lot of mentally retarded men who have been traumatized as little boys. And I see that it's hard for some of them to overcome it. I don't think they're truly seeking. I think they want it, but they really don't keep an eye on themselves. They won't admit that they're wrong. They're like the woman. The hardest thing in the world for the woman to do, not all, but most for sure, is to admit that I'm wrong. I screwed up my kids. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't realize what I was controlled by something that was controlling me. And that came from my mama. They don't admit that. They'll say, oh, it's your daddy. He was an alcoholic. Like, what the? Your daddy was an alcoholic. Your daddy did this. Your daddy did that. What did that have to do with you screwing me up? They won't admit it. They'll let you die before they admit it. They'll come live with you and destroy your marriages, and you're so subject to them, you won't do it. But you want to become a dispassionate person, all right? And you don't make yourself become that way. Because it's spiritual. Because if you try to make it happen, you're going to do it with the wrong spirit, and you become cold and mean and careless, and you won't be able to do it the right way. Just FYI. But we should deal with all people with dispassion, not mama passion or compassion, all right? But God's dispassion. God is not a passionate God. You've been told that by people who are in a fallen state, all in the name of Jesus. You must be born again, folks. There is no such thing as racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, deadbeat dadism, or drag queenism. It's either right or wrong, good or evil. And once you're born again, you're going to live from that secret world, the New Testament within, and it's going to be amazing what you see. You're going to be like, in it, but not of it. And you're going to be like, wow, that is the Old Testament. Every wicked thing you can think of is happening in the world with families and everybody and everything, those who have not been born again. then you can enter into that new world, that other reality, the real reality created as a result of Jesus Christ coming and sacrificing for it. It's amazing. Brand new biblical question for this week. When is the last time you did something for someone else expecting nothing in return, and it was the right thing to do? And it was the right thing to do. When was the last time you done that, folks? Think about it. You got to get to know yourself. These questions are set up for you to examine and know thyself. Because once you know yourself, you can then live. Really. And it's amazing. You won't be living. Look at in hell. Look at the world. The world is doomed. It's really doomed. And you see how the people are going after the president to try to stop any light from coming into the world. The liberal media, the Democratic Party, the right-wing Republicans, the never-Trumpers, the black race hustlers, the haters of good. They try to stop him because they don't want any light in the world. They don't want you to see them. I remember either late, it was early in this year, maybe last year, now time goes by so fast, when they were saying that, a recession is coming. It's going to happen. It can't stay this way, right? Ain't no recession coming. It's not going to happen next year. It's not going to happen until the Democrats take over again. The economy is booming. All is well. But you can't see that if you listen to them and believe them. They will lie to you. And the liberal media repeats the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's like, it reminds me of when the mothers are telling their children that you have to take care of me. Like they're having babies for investment purposes. Like it's an investment. I'm having this baby because when I get old, this baby got to take care of me. I'm going to follow this baby, and this baby going to take care of mama. You don't hear the father saying that. I don't ever hear the father saying that, real, unless it's a beta father. Beta daddy. And the beta dad is like the beta mama, right? But you don't really hear men and women, you don't hear men normally saying that, right? Because men and women get married so they can take care of one another in old age. And then along the way to old age, they're preparing their lives so that their finance will be fine, they will have one another. And if the kids want to come by, fine. If not, fine. You know what I'm saying? Let the kids go live their own lives once they grow up. It's a spiritual battle, a warfare between good and evil, and most people don't see it, except for those who are starting to wake up. So, Daryl, have you ever done anything for someone and not expect anything in return?
Have I ever done anything?
Without expecting anything in return, and it was the right thing to do? I'm going to get that question really. I'm trying to compact it so it doesn't be a whole lot of words. Right. So, but yeah, get the point across.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so. I think I believe so because I've always read that. I've always knew that scripture of, don't let the right hand know what the left hand doing or something like that.
Right.
So I always kind of knew that once you showboat what you gave, then you got your glory already. So I think that I've, given without trying to showboat it.
So showboating meaning that...
Let people know.
And it was the right thing to do?
So that's the whole thing is now you have to really decide if it was the right thing to do. But it's crazy because once you give, there's like a huge temptation to want to tell somebody for your ego. Or
feel all good about it within yourself. Right. That's your glory too.
And then that's the thing is that you feel all good about it and it may not be the right thing to do.
I know parents, both single parents and married parents, who have truly destroyed their children, don't realize because they have done so much for them.
Yeah.
and because they're so emotional, they're
Right.
passion or compassion, and they'll really set their kids up.
Yeah.
And they feel all good about it. And now that the kids are adults, they're going to have a hell of a life.
And they think that that's love that they're
Yeah.
giving them.
Right. And you can't tell them not to do it.
Right.
They'll do it anyway. They'll do it for the kid. They won't make their kids do their own work or anything
Right.
most of the time.
And it's crazy. Most of the time it comes from parents who they had to do the work growing up,
Uh-huh.
and they hated having to do the work. So now they make their kids not have to suffer like they did.
Nick said, no. It's weird, too, because the kids grow up not knowing how to fill out applications.
Right.
They grow up not knowing how to apply for a university because the parents doing everything for them.
Right.
Oh, I got to help my baby.
I know.
It's a lot.
And nobody.
My baby going to school. That's why I know so many men that I've worked with over the years that cannot pay a light bill.
Right.
They don't know how to open a bank account, and they're adult men.
Yeah.
And I've never had that issue. So James is telling me that he watched a TV episode in which the mother kept downplaying her son's violence, and he eventually killed her husband, his stepfather. That's compassion. That's mama's compassion. Mama will sneak and give your drug addict child money to buy drugs and tell them not to tell you. Don't tell your daddy. Don't tell your father. Here, go now. You worry me. You bought me. Here, take this money. Don't tell your daddy. And don't be bothering me no more. Okay, mama. I won't bother you no more. And the son or the daughter got that money and go off and buy that drug and stay high for a week or two and come back. Mama, I need a little money to buy some food. Lord, child. It's the same old thing. Women need men to help them overcome. And the big government is a demonstration like looking at a big movie of how your life is. And the same thing is happening in your family, in your life, in your friendships, in your workshops, and everything. You're just not watching it on the big screen in the way that you're watching the government do what they're doing. And the so-called entertainer, they have screwed up lives too. They may have money because you need their excitement to make yourself feel better, so you go to their movies. And so they hide behind their monies, but they are miserable. Anyone who has not been born again of God, have not come out of that fallen state, are miserable. You're miserable. I don't care what you say. Satan is your daddy. You can have all the phony friends that you want. You can have all the money. You can live on the hill. You can be Rosie O'Donnell with the gated community, wherever she lives. Yet, behind that community, those gates, behind those walls, you're miserable. You're never going to have peace until you're born again, until you live from within. It just ain't going to happen.